My name is Greg Larson, and I was a contestant on season 4 of Alt for Norge. As soon as they said the grand prize was a reunion with your living Norwegian family, I was like, that just totally struck me right in my heart. It's been a life-transforming experience, and a real awakening to not only the, how all the sacrifices my ancestors made in order to leave their family and their farm and their whole life behind in Norway and come here and under such rough, tough circumstances pioneer the western plains of Minnesota, and then through all of that struggle and kids dying and having to move to different farms, all stuff like that, all of a sudden here I am a couple generations later living such a blessed life, an abundant life, basically because of all these sacrifices my ancestors made. Every contestant gets their family book, which is such a powerful gift, a beautiful gift. The last thing they do before you leave is they give you your family book. And so now that I have this, there's pictures of my family in Norway, there's pictures of the farmstead and the property where my great-grandfather came from, and there's also contact information. And so I've been able to reach out to my family now and begin this communication. I'm going to have this opportunity to go visit them, and they're going to take me to go see the old farmstead where my great-grandfather came from. And so I'm super excited now to have this opportunity to make those connections. We're in the land of the Vikings now. And look at this gorgeous view. Holy cows, when we stopped here, this was amazing. What a gorgeous, gorgeous view. I'm looking straight down. I've looked at it long enough now. I know exactly where the barn was. The barn was right before that tree there. And there's the old cellar. You can see the entrance to the cellar and the corner of the foundation down there. I can see exactly where Truls' home was. And so it's amazing to be back here, or to be here. I've never been here before. And although I say be back here because I've seen it in pictures, little remnants of it, the farmhouse and the Truls and the family working out there by the farm, but I've never been here to see it in person. So this is such a special moment. And then to be on Hegerberg, looking down over where the old farm would have been. When I first got the book, when I was on the TV show and I opened it up to that section and saw the family tree, it's so amazing that when I look at that, it was just like, wow, there's all these people who are still in Norway, and it kind of shows this spot in Norway where I came from, which is just outside of Stavanger. And then this family tree from my great-great-grandfather was Truls Hegerberg, and then all my great-grandfather's brothers and sisters, and then the next generation below that, then my mom's generation, and then here I am right here. And so it was such a powerful moment to open this up and to see all of this family history and to see all of these Hegerbergs that are still alive in Norway. And that was my mom's maiden name, was Hegerberg. So, and that's where we are right now. This is the Hegerberg farm as I knew it growing up. And so this is where my great-grandfather settled, and the farm where my grandfather took over and farmed his whole life. And so there's so much, when I look around this place, there's so much memories and family history here. And this is where we spent every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every Easter, and every summer, the fourth Saturday or Sunday in June, we had our Hegerberg family reunion right here. So this place is just so powerful to come back to, and it's a lot different now because our family sold it a few years ago, and so now that it's in the hands of somebody else, they're doing lots of different things with it. And so parts of it are still recognizable, like the silos and the barn and the house, but other parts are new and changed. And so it's amazing that the family farm in Norway has been in the family for hundreds of years, and yet here in America, because we're moving around, and it's like it's not as important to hold on to those things. And so the family farm was sold a couple of years back, and now there's this process of letting go and saying goodbye to this piece of our family history as all the kids spread out and go their different ways now. So, yeah, my great-grandfather, Andrew Hegerberg, he was from the Stavanger area, And so he immigrated here in the late 1800s, and then he started out in Iowa, and then has made his way to North Dakota and homesteaded there, and then he finally ended up moving his family here to the Spicer area. I have lots of memories, and actually this area right here, because there is so many times, as a little boy, I dreamed of climbing these silos here. And now when I look up at them, they don't seem so tall nowadays. And then right here, you know, this used to be the old barnyard, which went way over to the tree line, and way out there and back over here, and there was 200 head of cattle in here. And there was a fence came across right here. So me and my brothers, we would stand on this fence here, and we would look out across the barnyard here and see all the cattle moving around, and that's, of course, the barn. Then they had an old, like, pole barn that way. Not an old pole barn, but a huge pole barn right there, and that's where the combine was, and there was a couple cars in there from the 20s, and there was a bunch of hay in there. And so, of course, I would love for that gate to still be here, and it would be so amazing if the cows still were here, but this is not a working farm anymore. It's just kind of a, I guess, going to be a hobby farm maybe. I'm not for sure what they're going to do with it. So, but there was, you know, inside the barn here, there was, my grandpa milked cows, and every morning he would make his way across the yard here, and there was a little path because it was so worn, and he would milk the one cow in the morning, and he'd bring the milk into the house, and there it was in the kitchen, a pail full of fresh milk, and we would scoop the cream out. And of course drink the milk. So those are all things that are just powerful memories still, that are, because that was my childhood. We spent so much time here when I was growing up. When we were in Norway, a big part of the show was introducing us to Norwegian customs and Norwegian foods and Norwegian, you know, each week there was a new theme, like Norwegian childhood or holidays or Norwegian heroes. And then we're always being introduced to these things that are specific to Norway. So, and funny enough, you know, I would say we did a few things, like my grandma always made lefse, and we had lutefisk now and then, but I didn't really, when I got over there and started learning all this stuff, I didn't really know a lot of this stuff. And so I don't know why my grandparents didn't hang on to it. My thinking is that they were so, when they became immigrants and when they became U.S. citizens, it was so important to let go of being who you were and to embrace being American. At least my grandparents, they didn't really carry on Norwegian traditions. And I even remember when I was just finished college, I was up here visiting my grandparents, and I was telling them about all my aspirations for after college, and my grandmother was like, she snapped and she was just like, will you stop saying yeah? It's yes. If you don't start saying yes, you're not going to be respected in your, you know, she was so upset at me because I was saying yeah instead of yes. And so it didn't work, because I still say yeah for the most part, but I think because there was such an emphasis on from my grandmother at least, to not be Norwegian, to be American, that was not emphasized, and I really did not know a lot about what it was to be Norwegian or you know, what Norwegians did. So we did American things. We didn't do Norwegian things except for maybe lefse and lutefisk, which is probably more the church than specifically her, I would say. So unfortunately, I wasn't really that informed about what it is to be Norwegian or what Norwegians did. So one of the realizations I had on the show was that at this amazing relationship with my grandparents, all four of my grandparents actually, and I didn't realize it till I was on the show that, you know, when my great-grandfather left, he never saw his father again, and then it dawned on me, wow, my grandfather never even knew any of his grandparents. And when I look back at my life and how rich it was because I knew all my grandparents and all the love they gave me and all the things they taught me and all the adventures we had and all these lovely holidays we had because we were with my grandparents, it just was such a sad realization to know that. And now that was the sacrifice they made to follow their dream, and to not even follow their dream, there was just no opportunity there. It was a very small farm, and to even eke out a living on that farm was difficult. And then there was all these kids, and so the only real opportunity they had was to leave. And because they left at that time, that was really the end of their experience. And I can't imagine never talking to my dad again. So when that's all put in perspective, it's like really amazing what they went through. And then here I am now, you know, and I have all this opportunity now, which is what they moved here for, was for opportunity for their kids and their grandkids. So I'm the one benefiting from all their sacrifices. And so to be able to go on this show and go back really was, and this for this opportunity to compete for this, you know, the grand prize was a reunion with your family. So not only myself, all the other contestants felt the same way. It was a way to honor their relatives, their ancestors, for making all these sacrifices to come here. Yeah, when we got the family books, you know, I opened it up and I turned to this picture here, and here's my great-great-grandfather, Truls Hegerberg, and this was his farm here. And this is the only picture I've had of him. So I saw this picture, so in my mind, this is where, you know, this is where this person lived all my life. He was always this age. And then when I got this family book and I saw some pictures of him as an old man, that's where it really hit home. These pictures, it was actually this picture right here. And I saw him as an older man with a white beard, and all of a sudden, instead of being frozen in time as this young man, I felt this complete life of his. And not only that, because he had 6 kids with his first wife before she died, and that's where my great-grandfather came from. And 5 of those 6 kids left. And so not only was my great-grandfather coming here and never talking to his kids again, but my great-great-grandfather, all of a sudden 5 of his kids moved to America and he never saw them again. So not only was it the people coming here losing contact with Norway, but when the people left Norway, their moms and dads lost contact with their kids. And that wasn't something else I realized on the show too. A lot of the crew who was following us and filming, they'd be like, oh yeah, my grandpa, you know, his brother left and he went to America, and we kind of lost track. So we know we have relatives in America, but we have no idea where they're at. So the Norwegians are feeling the same thing. They know they have ancestors in America, but because of the loss of connection, they don't know where they live anymore, they don't know where they're at. And so it kind of went both ways, which I never even realized before, that they're feeling the same way, that, wow, we have family in America and we don't know where they're at or who they are or where they ended up finally, because they changed names and they started out in Iowa, then they went to North Dakota. I mean, who knows where they ended up at. And so it was those are the realizations that I had being on the show, was this separation that happened, and it was felt on both sides. And so, and then to have these pictures, to see the pictures of my great-great-grandfather being older, kind of all of that came into picture and really hit home about these lives that they lived and the experiences they had because of this great immigration that happened.